So it looks like you guys really liked the first painting video that I've done. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue with a second one. Hey everybody, this is Everyman with Everyman's 40K channel. And yes, we're going to do some washing and waxing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go with a burnt umber. And burnt umber is going to be your choice if you're new. Using a brown, okay? So burnt umber is your go-to, 100%. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. Even all the pros and everybody else, they'll testify that burnt umber is your #1 brown color, whether it's oil, acrylics, or inks, okay? Then you can see back here, we got a little bit of mineral spirits, okay? We're gonna do some oil washing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay on a coat of ink and basically set a base. We're going to use soft brushes. You want to use a soft bristle brush and nothing that's hard and that'll scratch the surface. We have our cup of water up top. We have our plastic lid, and I like using plastic lids, especially to wash, so I can see through it. I can tell how transparent my ink is. If you want, you can also use a white tile, just like, shower tile. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to put a few drops of ink on our little plastic lid here. And then we're going to get going, add a little bit of water. As you see, we're going to go ahead and dilute this down as we get into it. And then we're just going to start the application. It's pretty simple. We're going to coat the whole model as we go. And you'll see me right here, I'm getting in a cup. We're going to start to dilute it right there, right on the plastic lid. And as I said, we can see double check transparency. As you apply it to your model, you can also check transparency. And then if you need to, add a little water because you do have working time. So we're coming here, what we want to do is we're going to split the tail, okay? So I want the underneath to be a certain color, and I want all the top parts that I'm showing you here, all the main components, chest, not full chest. See where the white is? Not that part, but we want to split the white from the khaki, okay, with the brown, because we're going to come in with a different color later. All right, so let's do it. At this stage, I'm just cleaning up the last little bits here, kind of smoothing out the hard transition line of where the ink has kind of stained the model, and we don't want that hard line staining, so I am trying to smooth it out a little, just work a little more water into it, using the brush as a little bit of a scrubber just to kind of clean it up, and then we're done. On to the next stage. All right, so now on to some oils. So what we're going to do is take the mineral spirits. We're going to crack open the lid and we'll take our pipette and we're going to go in here and we're just going to kind of load up our pipette and get ready to make a slurry, or basically our wash. We're going to go back and we're going to grab burnt umber one more time. Again, we're going to double up on the burnt umber. I just want the model, the base, to have a real depth to it, right? So just want that richness of that brown, that undertone. So go ahead and just grab, to a lack of a better term, a little dab. Sorry for the blurriness here, but it's just a little bit. That's all you need. Later you're going to see me go in here and grab a little black, and I kind of want to deepen or even richen the contrast a little bit more. So right now it is a pure brown. Basically you mix it up, get your little slurry going, and you have to kind of just determine trial and error. I don't know how to really tell you. You see me going back in here. I'm adding a lot more mineral spirits, and I'm making myself a wash. And I can tell by using a white cup or something white to mix it in. You see how now I use that to tell how it runs off the sides. And that gives me an idea of what it's going to do on the model, the stickiness, how it's going to saturate and coat, where I want it to coat. Do I want it to run in the recesses like a fine pin wash, or do I actually want it to coat the surface a little bit and have some heft to it, some stick, right, for lack of a better term? So we mix this up, takes me a little while. And then we start the application. Essentially, I dab it, right? Hit it here, hit it there. And I'm trying to look for the capillary effect, right? When I touch the model, I'm looking for it to spread out across the surface, right? To kind of surface tension, right? Water has a surface tension. Mineral spirits has a surface tension. I'm looking for the oil to release, or the mineral spirits with the oil paint to kind of release across the model. Once I determine, okay, that's good, as you can tell here, I'm going with it. So at this point, we're done with the arm, and I just want to show you the richness of color. Yes, it's still wet with oil, so it has a shine, or sort of like a semi-gloss finish, but still just the depth of color in the oil versus what you're going to get out of an ink or an acrylic. It's just incredible. Now let's go ahead, let's go look at the model. Check this out. I mean, it just can't be repeated, or it can't compete. Oils to me are just so much better. Are they a pain in the rear end to work with a little bit? Yeah, but again, you just can't beat the colors. Okay, so now we're gonna let this dry, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're back, and after a complete drying cycle. Now let me talk about the drying cycle, right? So in order to get oils or the mineral spirits to flash off or to dry, you got two choices. You can either use a hair dryer if you're working with a small area. What you do is you take yourself a fan, like normal house fan that you would cool yourself off with in the summer, right? You set your model in front of the fan and you let that fan just kind of blow on the model all, evening, all night long, whatever. So let's get out our trusty little red pointer here, and I want to show you a few things. So you remember how we were taking this line that I'm pointing out here and how we really wanted this silky smooth, and that's why we used the airbrush, and I talked about, I want this so smooth and the airbrush is the best thing. Well, we're going to have to go in here and we're going to have to do some repair. So I'm going to have to go in and basically paint that line or retouch up that whole area. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in there and we're going to go back in there with a warm gray, because again, we were desaturating the model, the skin portion of the dragon. We're going to go desaturation, okay? Highly desaturated. So we're going to go in here and we're going to paint with the warm gray, and we'll come back. Alright, so now that that warm gray has dried, what we're going to do now is we're going to do more washing. So we're going to go with a violet ink here, basically a purple. We're going to go ahead and go over the top of that warm gray mixture. We're going to do the back of the tail, and I'm going to do under the chest plate. We're going to use a plastic lid here again, as always, just for transparency purposes. Put a couple drops on here. Then we're going to follow it up by a whole bunch of water. And again, it's all about transparency, and when you go into the model with the brush, what's the depth, right? What does it cover? How thick is it? Does it go into the cracks and the crevices, or does it shift the hue, right? I do what's called color shifting, so I do a lot of washes where I paint something one color and then I'll wash it with another color to turn it purple, right? Instead of going straight in with a primary purple, and then dry brushing and washing and stuff, I went in with a gray. And then here, let me get this thing off this base. Hold on real quick. I want to be able to hold this bad boy so I can have some control over what I'm doing and not totally mess this up. So I can tell already, yeah, we're going to have to go back into the purple. We're going to need a lot more than this. I didn't put enough on the little clear piece of the condiment lid there. But yeah, you see how now I get it running into the cracks. I go back into it, more purple. See how dark that next one was? I realized too much water and not enough pigment. So I go straight back into the color. Going to be some pretty cool stuff. So we got the model here all done. Check this out. We've got the colors, got the brown, the washes. We've accomplished everything we wanted to accomplish. Later you'll see that again I have to kind of go do a little bit more cleanup with the tail. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back in with some warm gray. We're going to go back in with some of the bright ivory. And we're going to introduce our third color, a desaturated blue-gray, okay? And again, this is all about desaturation. And you'll know why. Now, here's a special little tool. Take yourself a piece of cardboard, and you can now use a piece of cardboard, right? Instead of one of those little special plastic things. I mean, you could 3D print one, but again, I just take a piece of cardboard and that's what I use to dry off my brush or get the excess paint off my brush. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to work only on this arm, okay? See the arm in front of you here? That's all we're going to touch, because otherwise we would be here for another hour or even longer if we have to do this whole model. So stay tuned, keep watching. I'm going to do some time lapse. I'm going to speed it up, slow it down, speed it up, slow it down. But this last section is going to be pretty important. So we're going to actually start applying color, which is the basic, again, more foundational work. But when you see this towards the end, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I mean, this is, so wait. So here we go. I'm using my little palette thing or my little dry brush tool to get the excess off, and we go into it. So we're going to let the music roll and enjoy. Okay, so now we're going to bring in some of our gray blue. First time we get a color that's not in the gray and brown tones, right? So watch what we're going to do. Again, this is what's going to make this thing just blow up on the table. So again, we go in some gray, grab a little bit of blue, and we're going to go dry brush. Okay, so we're going to get rid of a lot of excess, and we're just going to barely dust this model when we go back into it. And we're going to layer, right? We're going to layer using a dry brush technique. Angle the brush a little bit. And so now watch this go. Watch me go to work and get this thing to pop. Okay, so now for the detail brush. And here's again, just the next stage. Starting to the very first hand painting, you know, where we're like detail. So no more dry brushing, no more washing, no more kind of going at it guerrilla style, if you know what I mean, down and dirty. So now we're going to actually start doing what we do best, right? And going into there and putting in our details, basically our style or my style. And then here we go. All right, that's going to do it. So that's going to end this episode. Next is going to be armor. Okay, first I got to dry brush this whole model. But after that, we're going to go with armor. And I just want you to check this out. Look at this detail we're going to put into this model. Yeah, this thing is going to be so good. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing, please hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and hit that like button. And please tell all your friends on social media that I'm out here and that Everyman 40K is finally starting to paint. And like we always say on every episode, may all your dice rolls come up sixes unless you're looking for that one. Peace out, everybody.